So this critique is all about a set of instructional materials on the many uses of the word just in English.
A really comprehensive set of materials.
It is, yeah. We've looked closely at its structure and how well it aligns with what a learner really needs for practical conversation. So let's just dive right in. Okay, so first off, the commitment to being complete here is, it's really impressive. But that thoroughness creates a problem.
Attention, right?
Exactly. A tension between, academic depth and what a learner actually needs for day-to-day use.
And you can feel that tension right away in the structure. It feels a bit overwhelming. How is a learner supposed to know which of these 10 definitions is the one they'll actually use when they're, ordering a coffee?
That's the perfect place to start. So the material needs to clearly segment the core, everyday communicative uses of just from its more technical or formal functions.
Because right now the weakness is that it's all in one single flow. You've got adverb of time, like I just arrived, right next to attributive adjective for fairness, like in a just society.
Exactly. And that adjective function, the one about fairness, it's so grammatically different, so contextually different from all the others. A beginner might see that and freeze up mid-sentence.
Right. They're worried they're about to make some grand philosophical statement when all they want is, one more slice of pizza.
And that hesitation is the enemy. So the suggestion here is really structural. You need to recategorize all these functions into tiers.
Tiers, I like that. So a primary lesson with just the most common high-frequency uses.
Yes. And the other material, like the Just Society example, that gets moved. You put it in a clearly marked advanced section, or maybe an appendix. It's for a different kind of learning.
So a concrete example would be to just physically separate them on the page. Use a different layout, a box, something to show the learner, hey, you can safely ignore this part for now.
And we also have to be a bit ruthless about the utility of some of these definitions. Take the adverb of degree, where just means almost.
Like in, this bag looks just about the right size.
Exactly. While that's technically correct, is it really essential for a beginner? I think the complexity there outweighs its actual frequency in conversation.
It just adds clutter. So maybe make that an optional detail, a little side note, not part of the main lesson. That way you keep the core path clear.
Right. So moving on from scope, let's look at the core adverbial roles themselves. Even within the main definitions, there's a big opportunity here to simplify things.
There is. And I think the risk right now is that by focusing on these very technical grammatical labels, you're actually slowing down practical application. The classifications like adverb of manner, intensifier, they feel, a bit redundant.
They are absolutely redundant to a learner. The material defines just as an adverb of manner for only or exactly, like in just another slice of pizza. Then it has a whole separate category for intensifier, for emphasis, as in she's just crazy.
And to a learner, only an emphasis can feel like the same thing. It often just depends on your tone of voice.
It does. And that confusion makes the rules for word position, which is the most important part, really hard to follow.
So the suggestion is to regroup them. Forget the technical labels and group them by what they mean.
Yes. We think it boils down to 3 clear functional categories. Number 1 is recent past. That's I have just eaten. It's very specific.
Okay.
2 is limitation, or only. This would cover most of those manner uses, like I just need 5 minutes.
Right.
And 3 is emphasis. Just look at this. That covers the intensifier uses. And with that, you can get rid of all the confusing labels.
The learner doesn't care if it's an adverb of degree. They just care about what they're trying to say. This makes so much more sense.
And the real benefit of doing this is that you can then teach the placement rules so much more clearly.
Which is the whole point.
Exactly. So you could combine examples like, yes, just one more beer, and it's just in your head, under that one single label. Just, for limitation.
And then you can really hammer home the contrast in placement. For recent past, the position of just is fixed, right? It's between the auxiliary and the main verb. You can't move it.
You can't. I have just eaten. You can't say I have eaten just. It doesn't work.
But contrast that with the other uses. For limitation or emphasis, just is incredibly flexible. It can go almost anywhere.
Yes. Just wait 5 minutes or wait just 5 minutes. The meaning is the same. That flexibility is the key feature.
But if you mix up those rules, you end up with something that's structurally incoherent, like, I arrived just. By focusing on this fixed versus flexible idea, you turn a complex grammar point into a really simple choice for the learner.
It builds confidence. It gives in clear boundaries. Recent past is fixed. Everything else is pretty much flexible. Go experiment.
So the goal is to focus less on the name of the adverb and way more on the required location of it.
That's a great way to put it. Now I want to pivot a little and talk about the fixed expressions.
Just in case.
Just in case. Yeah. It's in there, which is smart, but its presentation feels like an afterthought, like it's in an appendix.
I think we're burying the lead with this one. The material really misses a huge opportunity here by treating just in case in isolation. It should be the star example of how just can be used as a softener.
The weakness isn't just its placement in the document. It's the missed depth. You have this really specific mandatory grammar rule that goes with it, and it's almost treated like a footnote.
You're talking about the present tense rule.
Yes.
The rule that the clause after in case has to be in the present tense. I will bring a sweater just in case I get cold, not in case I will get cold.
That's not a small detail. That's a core grammar point that is, highly practical and non-negotiable.
It's one of the most important rules in the whole document, and it's kind of hidden.
So the suggestion is to elevate just in case. Make it the capstone example for this whole softening or limitation function.
Right, and present that grammar rule, the present tense rule, as a fixed, memorable structure they have to learn.
And to make it even clearer, you could contrast the two parts of the sentence. The preparation part, the action you take, that can be in any tense.
Yeah, I brought a sandwich, that's past. I will leave early, future, that part's flexible. But the problem part, the consequence, is rigid. It has to be present tense. In case I get hungry, in case I miss the train.
That contrasts flexible action versus rigid problem. That's a really powerful teaching moment. You're not just teaching the word just, you're teaching a whole conditional structure.
And you could also highlight the short form. How often do we just say, I'll go early just in case? It's so natural in conversation when the context is clear.
It is. And that shifts the lesson from being a technical breakdown to a functional guide on how to communicate prevention, which is what the learner wants.
Exactly.
So to wrap this all up, there are really 3 core areas to focus on. First, resegment the content.
Separate the core conversational stuff from the advanced formal uses. Protect that main learning path.
Second, consolidate those overlapping adverbial categories. Move from the technical labels to functional meanings. Recent past, limitation, and emphasis.
And use that fixed versus flexible placement rule as the main teaching tool.
And finally, take just in case and make it a centerpiece. Don't treat it like an isolated phrase. Use it to demonstrate how just softens communication and, most importantly, foreground that mandatory present tense rule.
These are all structural changes, but they'll make the material so much more intuitive and immediately useful. We really think this will strengthen what's already here. And we'd encourage you to implement these ideas and send the revised material back in for another look.
We look forward to seeing it. This is already excellent work on a really tricky word, and these changes should just enhance its clarity and impact.